president-elect touting the deal.
America chose to make Donald Trump the next president of the United States.
Now, Carol, you announcement that James Mattis will be the Secretary of Defense pick. He's technically not eligible for that position. He retired from the military in 2013. You need to be removed from the military for more than 7 years. Eligible to run the Defense Department for pretty good reason. It's U.S. kind of baseline that civilians control the military. Now, they say they did not believe they're going to have any problem at all getting a waiver from Capitol Hill. This is down where opposition starts to show its face. We already saw one statement. Kirsten Gillibrand, New York senator, strong voice in the Democratic caucus, saying that she would oppose the waiver because, again, civilian leadership, a principle of American democracy. Not expecting a lot of that, but keep an eye on it when it does show up. Carol?
Yeah. Washington Post, Matea Gold, welcome to all of you. So Dana, let's talk unity because, you know, we have to talk unity these days. A lawmaker about a cabinet position. So is that an olive branch?
Well, one man's olive branch is another man's mischief making because, sure, it has been the tradition to have I guess, since George W. Bush, and maybe even before, to have a Democrat in the cabinet. Barack Obama had...
Bush
anyway, he was a transportation secretary, and
yes.
His name is escaping me. Regardless of red states, Heidi Heitkamp is from North Dakota. It's so about trying to take away a Democratic seat in the Senate, where every single seat counts. It won't make for a majority or not, or a minority, but every single vote counts when you're trying to get your Democratic candidates to replace Camp in the red state is not very big.
Okay, but let's give Trump the benefit of the doubt, and that's an olive branch, right? Because he did talk unity at his big rally in Cincinnati. The problem was, he kind of dissed Hillary Clinton. The crowd chanted, "Lock her up." The crowd was mostly white. Protesters were thrown out. So was it unifying, Jason?
No, I don't believe anything that Donald Trump says about unity. I can see that from the administration that he's see that from the policies he's proposed. Let's look at what he speaks to this. I don't believe anything nationalist groups. When he does that, I'll believe him. And I'll also say this about bringing people together.
Election, but voters in general. And there is a lot of anger on both sides. The Clinton people clearly feel that they had an uphill battle, and you heard complaints from them yesterday that the media was against them and that they were really up against a candidate in a campaign that was waging a nasty negative race and harnessing some of the worst impulses of voters. That was something, obviously, Kellyanne Conway and the Trump folks took real issue with. I think really to the point this shows how much work there is yet to do to try to hit this note of unification that Trump gave a nod to at his rally. And I mean, it's really on him at this point to try to set the tone and set an example that will try to bring some of these factions together right now.
Here's what I wonder. Is it really up to Mr. Trump? Because Steve Bannon, he was supposed to be at that Harvard event too. He's the guy that some people say is racist. In fact, there were students outside protesting Steve Bannon's presence, except Steve Bannon canceled yesterday and did not give a reason why. Why wasn't he there? And I know it's just speculation on your part. And two, should he have been there just to be out in the open?
You know, you can argue it both ways. One, you can argue that he should be there because it's much easier to demonize somebody when you don't know anything about them, when you rarely hear, or the only thing that you know about them
he's
is what
kind
you
of
hear
gone underground.
Is what you hear about them, not hear from them. And the things that we've heard from him in public are from the time, for the most part, from the time when he ran Breitbart. So we haven't heard from him, and I think that he would do himself a big service by coming out in public and putting a third dimension on this two-dimensional character that people have created about him. Having said that, I also kind of get the idea of him not wanting to go, because if he went, that would be the whole story. You know, the story would be him, and the story would be the protests of
Right
him.
at the moment, isn't the story him? I mean, as far as
legitimately
the disunity in the country.
Here's the thing.
Yeah.
If I run a restaurant, I'm a restaurateur. If I run a bank, I'm a banker. If I run a white nationalist site, I'm a white nationalist. Okay? Steve Bannon has a lot to answer for. He is the senior advisor to the President of the United States. He has a website that terrorists, white nationalist terrorists, consider to be their home base, consider to be their personal Bible. He has put people who have that belief system on display on that website. So he has a lot to answer for. If he's supposed to be serving me, right? I'm an American citizen. If he's supposed to be serving me, I have every right to expect him to sit down and answer questions.
Well,
It's pretty
Matteo,
reasonable.
in fairness, he has given print interviews, right? And in those print interviews, he says he's not a white nationalist. He's a nationalist, and there's a difference. That's what he said, Matteo.
Well, you know, we did a long profile about Bannon, who actually declined to talk to the Post. He said he was too busy. But I think what's interesting, if you look at his remarks over time when he's been pressed about the fact that he called Breitbart a platform for the alt-right, and when he's been pressed about the white nationalists who are attracted to this movement, you know, his answer time and time again was sort of dismissive, that these elements of this movement will wash out, was a term he used once in 2014, that these things sort of fade away over time. So I think there are a lot of questions about how strongly he denounces some of the people who are coming to this discussion with a lot of hate and racism.
But I go back to what you said. It does start at the top. It's about Donald Trump, the former candidate, now president-elect, soon to be one of only 45 people who have been in this job. And so he started last night. I think he should get props where, you know, where he can.
He did denounce hate speech
He
last
denounced
night.
hate speech. He didn't do it on his Twitter feed. He read a teleprompter. I'm totally with you. I can feel you over here. I get it. I get it. It would be a very different thing if he used the impulses that he uses constantly on Twitter to do that on Twitter. Baby steps, though. He started it last night. Let's see where else
Baby
he goes.
steps. And he's at a rally with his
I
core
don't believe
supporters.
him. Look, here's the thing. I don't give presidents credit for doing their job, right? It was Barack Obama's job when he got elected to bring people together. It was George Bush's job when he got elected to bring people together. And I'll say this very quickly about Donald Trump and the expectations. So, for example, like Carrier, I think it's great that he kept those jobs there. But if Donald Trump really wants to fulfill his campaign promises, why doesn't he bring back all the manufacturing jobs from his own companies abroad? Okay, that'll also end all these conflicts of interest. That's what I want to see. I want to see a president who fulfills the promises that he